Welcome to Happy Homes and Gardens. I'm your host. My name is Daphne Royse. I am a real estate broker, architecture, and interior designer. Patrick Kilpatrick has an impressive career in Hollywood. He has appeared in over 180 films and TV series, has won 7 awards and 1 nomination. Patrick is an actor, director, screenwriter, producer, teacher, and international entertainment speaker. He has 2 films that will be released in February 2024. Let's welcome Patrick and let him share some insights with us. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you, Daphne. It's great to be here, particularly since we're launching a Kickstarter campaign for a film I'm directing, producing, starring in, and I wrote with my wife and a great team called Dying for Living. And so it's a great time to appear on podcasts and, of course, to promote whatever's going on with you. And you mentioned Nessie coming out, which I'm very proud of. It's an authentic, sort of very charming family movie, which is not my usual thing, doing action films.
Can you tell us a little bit about you and how did you get into entertainment business?
I was a journalist and an advertising writer for magazines in New York, just about everyone, and a lot of ad agencies. And then I took a break from that to write a novel, and I ended up sharing a house with a big-time actor who was becoming an even bigger-time Broadway director, a guy named John Tillinger. And I wrote a play instead of a novel, was asked to join theater companies, and it just took off from there, kept screenwriting, and that's basically it. And now we're writing, directing, and producing and starring in things, along with others, great collaborators here at Uncommon Dialogue Films. Dying for Living is a work in progress, and we're just launching our Kickstarter campaign on February 13th. It's got a great cast: Costas Mandylor, Nina Bergman, Tatiana Neva, Ivana Wynn. They're great beauties, great badasses. Costas for many films. Olivia Gruner, many films, action films, great French martial arts sensation. Egan Machado, 8-time world jiu-jitsu champion. Chuck, the Iceman Liddell, who is 2-time light heavyweight champion of the world for the UFC, knocked out Randy Couture twice to take the championship, and now has a vivid acting career and extraordinary fights. The martial arts are all done by legendary martial arts choreographer and director himself, Art Camacho, and the cinematography is done by the brilliant Stephen Colson. Whenever I'm with Stefan and all these other people, I realize, hey, you might not be the smartest brain in the world. These guys are genius. There's 5 guys who could direct this film on the film. Raffaello, my producing partner, being another one. So the Wall twins. Oh, the charming Wall twins. They're incredible. 14-year-old twins. They're extraordinary actresses and wonderful acrobatic action performers. So what else can I say about the Kickstarter? We've got a lot of great perks. People who back the film can actually participate and be filmed in a scene. They can come to the glamorous VIP premiere with their friends. They can get extraordinary wardrobe items. I'm wearing my wardrobe from the film, one of them, and I have about 15 of these done by the designer James Andrew. The film is about a vain, aging hitman who, in a desperate attempt at redemption, resurrects the family he abandoned long ago in Hollywood and the heart of Holland. And they're all professional hit people, and mayhem ensues. The line between love and betrayal is blurred and bullets fly and loyalties are shattered. And it's our contribution to the world of action cinema. And I'd love to have everybody in your audience be our backers, and they'll get a lot of great perks, and they'll be part of an extraordinary action film.
I'm sure my audience will love that. It sounds like a big crew. How many members you have in the Kickstarter?
Oh, it's a great question. We have about 35 cast and crew when we finished shooting in a brilliant factory in Chino. And it's a great tight crew. I mean, literally, these people are so good at their job. Behind the scenes, there's my wife, Heidi Bright, co-producing the film. Actually, I think she's elevated to a full producer now. She's the executive vice president of Uncommon Dialogue Films. And then there's co-producer Maria Semoloeva, who works with me every day and throughout the film. Jacob Bressler, line producer. He could also direct the film. He's directed hundreds, directed or assistant directed or line produced hundreds of films. So it's a really extraordinary team, and I'm filled with gratitude whenever I think about them. And, God, you learn a lot about yourself writing, directing, producing, and starring in a movie.
Where was the film take place at?
In Chino. Everything is in Chino, although we have a mansion in LA, which doubles for something else out in Chino.
Okay.
So we have a couple of locations around LA. French bakery, some other great environments.
And how long it takes you to film this film?
We filmed 2 weeks. The teaser that I hope you'll air on your show is the result of our first 2 weeks of filming. We have 2 more weeks to film. 1 week of that is pickups in case we need it. But really, we have about 9 more days of principal photography, and then on into post-production.
Impressive. And you have been both in front and behind the screen. Which one do you enjoy more and why?
It's a great question. Acting is such a lark, and it's so fun just doing that. I love writing with my wife, and she's now a full collaborator on almost every script that we do. I try, Daphne, and I really try to come from gratitude with wherever I am in the universe. Whether it's doing my own stunts and dying for a living, or whether it's writing the script or producing. I do a lot of film finance stuff, as you can imagine. I do a lot of consulting for others, collaboration on their films. So that's a joy as well. And all of those people are really rich resource for making our projects better.
I'm sure you work all the time. It sounds like it. And can you share what your day is like? I know it's a problem.
Just like you, I'm busy a lot. I recently got hypnotized and discovered one of the reasons that I've created this world where there's work everywhere. But I love it. I do, there's a great economic sanctuary to that, an emotional sanctuary too, because you're not at prey to any shift or whatever that's going on in the world. Not that you're isolated. That's not true. We're all subject to being influenced by outside events, but I'm very, very grateful that the world pushed me into not just acting, not just writing, not just producing, not just directing, not just teaching too. We do a lot of mentoring of young actors and writers and directors and producers over the years. I'm doing less of that right now because the producing and the directing and writing is so encompassing, and the film finance is so encompassing. I want to give a shout out to the fact that I'm going to the Chandler Film Festival this weekend.
Oh, wow.
What a great group of people. In 8 years, they've become a major film destination. And they invited me out there for a workshop and a film finance workshop and an acting workshop. And so Mattel Matish is the director out there. Great, great guy. They're going to have a gala this weekend, which I'm really looking forward to.
You look great. I saw a picture you have to the galas. You look great.
Well, I love compliments. We talked about that before.
Yes.
But if they're heartfelt and authentic, I like them. Even if they're not. The thing about writing and directing and acting and producing and all this other stuff, you begin to really love all the life forms that take place on the planet. Because, when I wrote my memoir, the first volume, and I hope I'm going to get a chance to polish the second volume, which is all show business all the time. But it talks about each job, really, largely of the over 200. By the way, correction, it's not 180. It's 200 now. We know this because of IMDb Pro. I think you probably looked at Wikipedia. Those guys are slow over there. You do extra films and they don't adjust very easily. You got to submit the stuff and everything. But the point of it is, when I was writing about all of these people, and there's a lot of crazy people in Hollywood, global Hollywood, there's a lot of crazy people in the world. But other than people who do overt violence to people and that kind of thing, you really begin to love the diversity of the human species and the animal kingdom, of course. But, yeah, even the crazies I love. They make it interesting.
Can you share what your day normally like?
I have my rituals. I get up. I do a lot of physical stretching. I do a lot of swimming. I jump into a cold pool when I can. I had a wisdom tooth extracted last week, so I haven't done that the last couple of days. The routine has involved the gym at the end of the day. And in any given day, I'm doing a lot of calls, a lot of writing, a lot of film financing stuff, a lot of sending out of communications. And a good day results in some period, usually after 2:00, that I'm writing with my wife. Sometimes I can't sleep, so I'll get up in the middle of the night and I push forward with the scripts on my own and make lists of things that have to be accomplished. Grandchildren, children. I've got 4 sons essentially, and 5 grandchildren, and 2 daughters-in-law who are married to 2 of the involved with the 2 of the sons. That takes up some wonder. That's real vacations, though. You're talking real vacation when you get to play with your grandkids. So I don't get to do that enough.
You're very lucky that you enjoy your life.
I really am making every effort to do that every moment that I've got, because sometimes we put ambition, or sometimes we put accomplishing all of the list of things, and it's really a choice. Even if you've got a lot of things to accomplish, if you've got a lot of things to do, to abdicate the joy of it, what a terrible thing. Because then what happens? Bitterness conflict starts arising. You don't want it. I don't want it. That's why I do the physical stuff, the massage sometimes, less chiropractic than I used to do when I was doing so many stunts with my own acting work. Time with my wife, having a great meal with my wife. We see a lot of films, whether watched at home or there's a great thing called American Cinematique that we joined, and they show wonderful films at the Aero Theater, the Egyptian, and the Los Feliz Theater, which are 2 smaller theaters here. Premieres. I love events that we go to. It's a balance. I have a lovely life. And I'm going to go to an outdoor trip with one of my sons in beginning of February. So some fresh air in Oregon. A lot of filming probably taking place there, because we'll be doing product integration and Kickstarter videos for Dying for Living, but got to get nature somewhere in there.
I've met two of your sons. You have a beautiful family.
Thank you. You're very kind. They're awesome. I'm so blessed. So many others have had challenging problems with their children or some of the things that people go through. And I'm very blessed. Yeah, I'm very blessed. They're extraordinary gentlemen, the four sons. There's a Gracie black belt jiu-jitsu recovery, drug addiction recovery entrepreneur, doing very well. Alex is the creative director for the LA Kings, a huge job. I think you met Alex, the long black hair. Ben, you met, is involved in the hospitality business and has a young grandson, AJ, with his lady Alice. And then Sam, you haven't met, who's another 6'5" alien, who's an architect in Denver. And he's, by the way, he makes his acting debut in Dying for Living. And he does an incredible job, just thrown into the mix. I knew he was a natural actor. And it was a great joy to actually work with him and have him see closer what I do, and for him to immediately rise to the occasion and be really great in the film.
It sounds like you actually watch a lot of movies and TVs. Do you have a favorite shows?
That's kind of like asking, do you have a favorite restaurant? I often cannot remember a lot of them, but we talk about them a lot. My tastes are pretty wide-ranging. My wife and I try to watch everything we can and get our hands on. That's kind of impossible since the proliferation of content is incredible. If I had to pick essential movies that have meant a tremendous amount to me in my life, I'd say Saving Private Ryan is always deeply moving. 300, the original Spartacus, as well as the TV show of Spartacus. There's so many essential movies. The comedies, Dinner at Eight, All About Eve. In new times, I'm just watching Society of Snow, which is great. What else? I just watched a really light comedy with Vince Vaughn, who's a friend, and I don't know the other name. It's sort of a portly actor called Queen Pins. It's just a light piece of thing, but comedy is so important. The works of Will Ferrell and Adam McKay are just extraordinary stuff. There are a lot of actors that I admire. Did you go to the Golden Globes? Did you watch the Golden Globes?
This year?
Yeah.
I only watched partially.
There is so much inspirational work. I was so glad Emma Stone won for Poor Things. Absolutely extraordinary film. Life-changing, I would say. And I don't say that often. Just every aspect of storytelling there. There's so much inspirational stuff at the upper reaches of it. Poor Things. I'm so glad Mark Ruffalo got a nomination for Best Supporting Actor, because he certainly deserves it, and wasn't acknowledged at the Globes. In the Best Actor category, I think it's impossible to have a winner. There's no such thing as a winner in that kind of a circle. I do think Emma Stone's was hands in another league. Her performance was in another league for Poor Things. We look for a lot of younger actors, because some of the other films that Uncommon Dialogue films have, and they're all extraordinary films that very much deserve to be seen. So a lot of them require younger people. And the challenge with that is the younger people often don't have the distribution power globally. So you have to somehow position them with some older distribution people who have that cash bringing financing power, or not. Sometimes you can not have any names, and but much more challenging to raise a significant budget that way. The money's got to come from somewhere. So we watch things like Stranger Things and Sadie Sink and Maya Hawke and Margaret Qualley. There's a lot of inspirational young actors out there. The girl, her name eludes me right now, from Ozarks. Incredible. Great show, by the way. Really great show. There's a lot of great stuff. Work for people to admire. That's why would you ever want to be involved in anything unless you were aiming at the highest thing?
You mentioned so many great films. What are the important moving parts necessary to create a good movie?
Well, I think the short answer is a team. If you don't have a good team, movies is not an effort that can happen alone. There are people like Robert Rodriguez. I guess he builds the movie in his room and stuff like that. And what you can accomplish with that is incredible. But you still need actors, and you need people to perform. You need great writing has to come from somewhere. Every aspect has to have vision. And if you're going to go to the top of the game, it has to have great writing, great sound design, great special effects. I just signed an arrangement with a man. I looked at his special effects reel, and it was ungodly, Daphne. It was so good. I'd never seen anything so powerful. And he's doing great stuff with music as well. I mean, you can put in elements and get things even out of, if you know how to manipulate the system of filmmaking, with people who aren't even actors. But that's because you're shooting skillfully, and you're editing skillfully. Every aspect, every department is important. The wardrobe, all of it is really, really important. The team, that's all it is. I mean, it's almost ridiculous saying somebody directed the film, because it takes so many people to put it together. Mm-hmm. It's almost ridiculous to say somebody produced a film. There's a mastery to producing, because you bring the elements together, and in television, you're often the writer as well. So that takes mastery, and that takes financial acumen, and it takes people skills, and one person can't do it all, not even close. Acting, on the other hand, sometimes could be a very solitary thing, although not really, because you need to rehearse with live people, or it's not going to work right, in my way of working.
Okay. And as you know, I'm in Silicon Valley. What do you think the impact that entertainment industry will be facing from the streaming services and artificial intelligence going forward?
Well, I don't think artificial intelligence is going to replace that spark of vision and spark of creativity. I do think it's an incredible tool, and we're already using it. We just built for Nessie, the film about the Loch Ness Monster, directed by Robbie Moffat, that we're distributing to theaters from my company, and I star in it. We played with AI images for the film, and we made them really work as posters, because we applied our creative skill and our vision and our knowledge of the elements that have to go on there to the AI images. Somebody looks at these AI images to begin with, and they go, well, this is absurd. This is not going to work. But when that happens, I go, there's a way to make it work. There's a way, and even if you fail, you need to go down that road to find out what's down that road. So throughout the Christmas holiday, we were working on the trailers and the posters for Nessie, so that they would speak to an American audience and they would speak to a global audience, so a North American audience. So we use AI for not to create art, although we're creating art with those posters, but we use AI to analyze the viability of projects. And what it really does is validate your instincts in a lot of cases, or give you areas where you might take a look and see if you need to work on it. But again, nobody can take away that free, independent choice that you have for going with your gut, as it were. So I find it an exciting development. I think if you're not using it on some level, as my wife said, you're going to be a dinosaur sooner or later. By the way, there's a lot of place for dinosaurs, so we'll see what happens.
So for your feature work, do you have a certain place you like movies to be filmed, or a story you like to be told?
Oh, God. I first and foremost like Uncommon Dialogue, all of Uncommon Dialogue films, slates to come to being, not just because of that, but because of development investors and the creative people, not because they're mine, but because development investors and people who have collaborated, worked long and hard on every aspect of the production. And that's moving forward. We're assigning directors and cast and things like that, all of which are elements of the process of arriving for full funding. Things happen when they're supposed to be happening. But there's so many parts of the world I'd love to work in. Greece, for one, I'd love to go there. Costas is a great, great friend. He speaks very highly of Greece. I'd love to go there. I've shot in extraordinary places, and I've shot in little dangerous places over in North Hollywood. It depends. What's important is what's up on the screen. Now you can go in a room and shoot the whole thing in something that looks like a flying saucer. We have a Western, takes place in a unique period. I'm adamant that actually is shot in Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, the places where the landscape becomes a dynamic character. I look forward to doing that. I love Colorado. It's a mythical place. So do is Arizona, and so is New Mexico. They're extraordinary places. I've shot all over America and the world on a lot of places. There's Australia is a great place to shoot. New Zealand, Hawaii. They all have their own challenges, their own economic viability, their own charm. Location can have such a great impact on a film.
I'm excited to see your two new releases in February. And you mentioned that the release date is on February 13th. What type of films are they?
February 13th is the launch for our Kickstarter campaign to raise the finishing funds with the 2/3 completed Dying for Living. Nessie has come out in Scotland, done very well. We took the worldwide rights, and they have a deal with a company called Random, which handles streaming and home viewing. When Random releases it, I don't know. We had to finish the posters and the trailers, and I'll send you those for your show. Before we made our approaches to the theater chains. Black Creek, which I just appeared in with Cynthia Rothrock, great lady, a mixed martial arts, a Western. Their distribution and release schedule is completely up to them. I just was an actor in that one. So Dying for Living, we're finishing up once we get those finishing funds. And I'm extremely grateful for the people. On February 13th, they'll be reading about it in press releases and social media. If they will, please contribute and help us across the line of this really, really passion project of mine. We know we're doing really, really well because all the distributors are clamoring for the film. And so we launched that February 13th. A perfect Valentine's Day gift.
I'm looking forward to that.
Right. Well, we'll have to have you come down and do your podcast from the set when we're filming.
Okay. I would love to. I would love to.
Happy to accommodate you.
I got to ask you one last question.
Sure.
What is the most difficult parts of your job, of being an actor and a screenwriter?
The most difficult part of the job is to be graceful in all circumstances and not be reactive and not be, I suppose, to grow up. It's not a dictatorship. It's a collaboration, and it's important to listen to everybody and set aside any kind of arrogance or egotism or anything like that about, life is too short. So
I think that applies to every job, right?
Yes, absolutely. After getting hypnotized, it was hypnotherapy, and I discovered some insights, even though with all the acting and the writing, I'd done a fair amount of reflection about my own background and all of that and how I arrived to wherever I arrived. And I feel blessed. At the same time, I received incredible insights from it. And one of the insights was that every person on the planet needs healing. And that's something that probably all of us should take to heart, that empathy for others is one thing that I strive for. I've always been observing other people, and I think that's a great quality for a writer or an actor, to observe other people, because you may be playing them in a movie down the line or utilizing whatever makes them special. So, it's a great thing to persuade others towards an activity, but you better be sure that what you're persuading them to is an extraordinary situation. Grace under fire. That's the best thing.
Grace under fire.
Yes.
Thank you, Patrick. I really appreciate your time today. That was a great interview.
Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you down the line, and we'll look forward to the interview. And thank you for your support of our Kickstarter campaign for Dying for Living, launching February 13th. Thank you.
I'd love to help. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll see you in the days ahead.